grand final match for a total of $5,400 in cash and a trip to the Bowling World Cup for the winner of the game. $2,200 to the loser, $3,200, and a trip to Copenhagen for the World Cup for the winner.
So David Weil goes on now to play against Len Hogg later on. So he has his warm-up.
And David taking the option to bowl a couple of practice shots. And Len Hogg now, the Australian Open champion, the New South Wales Open champion. He won the GIO New South Wales Open here at Rushcutter Bowl last weekend. No one has ever managed to win the double back-to-back, where you run the New South Wales Open as a prelude to the South Pacific Classic. He won it last weekend with a great average of 199. And he's got a string of titles that would take ages to go through, but the Australian Open of last year probably is the one that he treasures most prior to this particular match this afternoon. There's some of them now. The BCBA Masters and the New Image Open in 1985. He's won a couple of BCBA titles this year, and his league average is 201. So his average in league about 4 pins better than David Weil, but I'd say in this match they'd be pretty well evenly matched.
Yes, I don't think that sort of thing really counts when you're going into this kind of match. It's all, as we were saying before, the concentration, the nerves on the day.
Well, that's the opening shot now, and David Weil has started with a strike. He can't start any better, and what a great confidence booster that will be for this man from the Sunshine Coast in Queensland. He's bringing great honour and glory up there with his exploits around the tournaments in Brisbane. And, well, there's the top seed opening up with a split. Not a pleasant start for Len Hogg. Some of the other placings in the men's division, Terry Wenban of New South Wales finished 4th. What a barnstorming finish he put on. He had 255 and a 244 in 2 of his last 3 games. Eric Thompson of Victoria finished 5th. Tom Curry finished 6th. Jim Ferguson was next. And then Chris Batson finished 8th in the men's division.
So that's an open frame for the top seed for the men's competition. Len Hogg, he was the top qualifier. David Weil having just won through in the semi-final for the right to contest this final. And Steve, what sort of advantage or disadvantage, or maybe I shouldn't be talking about disadvantages at all, as we see another strike, 2 strikes in a row from David Weil, having to back up for the second game straight after a semi-final. What sort of effect does that have?
Well, I think it's probably an advantage because he's already bowled a couple of games. He's now been able to become accustomed to the situation that he's in. And Len Hogg has come in cold. He's only had a couple of shots practice on this pair of lanes. He has been bowling off camera on another pair of lanes here at Rushcutter, so he would be warmed up, but he wouldn't be attuned to the situation that he's in now. So I think David's probably got an advantage in this first.
He's come in on a high, that's
game.
For sure.
And come in on a high
and won the crowd's support in the process.
That's right. He's got everything working for him at the moment. But Len Hogg is a popular bowler and also an exemplary attitude to the sport, and that's why he's just come good in the last couple of years. Used to be known as a bit of a firebrand down in Victoria, but he's fixed up his mental game, and of course now he's made the final of the South Pacific Classic.
2 strikes and a 9.
And Len Hogg, this man now already 20 pins in arrears, courtesy of David Weil's 2 opening strikes and a 9 count. Very methodical bowler is Len Hogg, and that's a great strike by Len Hogg. We'll have another look at this one as it hits the pins. The 6 pin knocks the 10 away.
Just caught the tail end of David Weil's spare for the 3rd frame.
Yes, no troubles for David Weil there, shooting way across the lane. Good thinking by him. And Len Hogg, let's have a look at his profile now. His style, a tall man, very tall, very methodical, good push away. Parallel with the line when he lets the ball go, and that's the result of an excellently executed shot.
2nd strike in a row for Len Hogg.
That's closed the gap to about 10. and puts Wield under pressure. And that's how he's responded to the pressure. Well, pressure's a funny thing in 10-pin bowling. I don't mean funny laughing style. It's a bit cruel sometimes. There's a man who's had a strike bowled at him, and instead of just taking a little bit more time and relaxing and letting the arm swing smoothly and sweetly through, he's tried to crank the ball a little bit more, give it a bit more than he needed to, and of course it's crossed over to the left of the head pin.
It's like tension and pressure in any of the sports which rely heavily on technique. It often, oh, got it. I was about to say the tension often actually restricts someone's technique or affects it adversely.
Yes, that's right. There's pressure does funny things to people. I suppose it's all a matter of how positive they are in the mind. Well, here's a man who's really positive in his mind in the last week. Let's see if this is another one. He's gone for a run across to the right, and that's 3 strikes in a row for Len Hogg. He's cut the deficit to 8 pins, but he's got a double working, and he will probably be the new leader after his next shot. Well, David Wield should have learned by that first one. He'll go back and sit in the chair now and think about this. Len Hogg, meanwhile, in a world of his own, and that's what champions have to do in 10-pin bowling. You have to play your own game. If you do the best you can and still lose, well, you just weren't good enough on the day.
It's very much like say golf in that respect, isn't it? It's you against the actual game, and whoever finishes up with the best score is the winner. It's not actually head-to-head competition in that sense.
That's right. Well, 2 games this match, and Len Hogg opened up with a split, then a spare, and he's come back with 3 strikes since then, and every one of them been right in the strike pocket. Let's have a look. Good push away again. Excellent follow through, and he's gone for a run again. What a strike! 4 strikes in a row for Len Hogg, the new leader in the 4th frame by 4, and he's got a double working, as against Wield's open frame just a moment ago. That's the way to come back.
So that's the 3rd strike for David Wield, but his first 2 came in the 1st and 2nd frames, and we've had to wait until the 6th frame to see a repetition from Wield, who had a little bit of a slump in frames 3 to 5.
Well, I think the pressure that Hogg's applied put him into that slump, and now he might have got out of it.
Len Hogg going for 5 big ones in a row.
Oh, look at this. Gee, bowls a fast ball there. Those pins flying around the pin deck, but unfortunately for him, nothing came near the 10-pin. Well, Wield can catch back up a little now. He needed a double to do that. So he's about 20 for, well, isn't it amazing? 20 pins behind, ahead a moment ago, now 20-some pins behind, just a few frames later. Spare in the 6th frame for Len Hogg, 138. Wield needs to spare this 5-pin, sitting in the middle of the deck. No trouble. 24 pins behind is David Wield from the top seed for the tournament, and the current Australian Open champion, Len Hogg from Geelong.
He's not looking to the heavens for assistance there. That may be what it looks like on your screen, but he's actually looking up at the scoreboard, which is, yes, there it is, just above him.
Well, actually, he may be looking up there. He's 24
Could be a bit
pins
of both,
behind.
I suppose.
I think so. Let's have a look at Hogg. He's right in there. Gee, he's bowled a good game so far.
Certainly seems like the Almighty's operating the scoreboard for Len Hogg anyway.
That's a good shot. Excellent ball by David Wield. We've got a very good match here. 23 pins the difference now. He's cut the deficit down by a pin, but importantly, he's got a strike in the 8th frame. Hogg now going for a corner pin, shooting way across the lane. Very methodical bowler. In fact, both of them look quite at ease with the situation.
I've got to ask, Steve, what's the little green
oh, that's a
implement there? Or?
That's a bit of funny stuff. It dries the hands. It,
right.
It's sort of a new sort of hand dryer. And it takes a champion effort to come back with a double when you're 24 pins behind, and that's just what David Wield's done. Well, now they've pressure back on Len Hogg. Topsy-turvy game here. Hogg, a little unfortunate to leave 2 10-pins on his last 2 shots, and he's really driving the ball down there, driving it into the pocket. We'll have another look at that one. Look at this, driving the ball out to the right hand of the lane, and it's coming back beautifully as it nears the pins. Two great exponents of the sport here for the first time.
David Will taking a couple of good deep breaths before he heads in here for possibly strike three. No.
Tough break then for David Wheel. He would have liked that one. But good effort. Don't hit the ball any better than that. Unfortunately, though, the 10-pin. Well, Len Hogg, first ball in the 10th. He'd love to get a strike now. Give him a big lead going in. He's looking good. He's carried the 4-pin. Another strike for Len Hogg, and we're seeing a big game here. Certainly belying the conditions that we've been faced with all week. Very low scoring tournament this year. 197, I think, is Hogg's average in the tournament. A little below his normal league average. And David Wheel this week has averaged 194, and they're making a mockery of those averages with some big games here. Len Hogg could go all the way for a 237. Let's see what this one is. Driving the ball out towards the pins. He was in the wrong gear that time.
He shrugged as if he hadn't expected anything good from that ball.
Well, Wheels put up a good effort, and that's a 201 game. That's the same score that got him to a lead in the first match against Paul Madden. And Len Hogg, that's a surprising miss. Len completely out of timing when he went up for that, and we wonder, as we come into the second game of this match, whether those two pins that Len Hogg just missed will cost him the match. He's 22 pins ahead at the moment. And David Wheel, a little bit of psych there, offering the start to Len Hogg to send him on his way. And a couple of good games there. 223 for this man, Len Hogg, and 201 for his opponent. Well, another 10-pin, but that was a fortunate one. That was, yes, very iffy-butty. Oh, David, haven't learnt yet to take a little more time. He didn't get a strike, and David really should have put one in there. Oh, dearie me. Len Hogg has fallen in a hole the last couple of shots. Two big misses, a 9 miss to open up game 2. Not a good start. But he's lost nothing.
Frame. Yes, so both players' first frame of their second game just come out with a 9-pin total.
Quite often I've been spoken to by people who have watched the telecast over the years, and they say, gee, they bowl lousy games on television. We could do as well as that. Well, the bowlers in Australia are not professionals. They're amateur bowlers. There are no professional bowlers as such. And they're weekend bowlers. They play leagues during the week, and they bowl weekend tournaments, the Grand Prix Series in New South Wales, the BCBA tournaments in Victoria. And they're not doing it for a living, so it's to be expected that they don't get strikes and spares every time they let shots go.
I was talking to Jeanette Baker-Flynn before this game too, and she said that she often gets the same comments. People look at a total and say, gee, you know, I go along once a week and I can bowl that too. She said it's like looking at someone putt in a golfing tournament, you know, the last hole under pressure. You know, often you could do it too, but not on the last hole of the US Open. Or,
that's right.
Or, you know, like basketball. She gave the example, her husband being a basketball coach, standing on the free throw line. It looks easy, and you could probably go down and stand at your local court and do it quite easily most times. But under game pressure, very different prospect altogether.
Certainly is, and we're seeing a couple of champion strikes there from Len Hogg.
2 in a row.
Back. And this one really high on the nose, but carrying the pins very well. I think David Wheel has replied beautifully, and that's the best strike we'll see all day. We'll have another look at that one by David Wheel. Crash. You really got to hate the pins too if you're, well, you've got to do that. You don't hate them, they'll stand up and laugh at you more often than not, I'm afraid.
I guess the worst thing is when they don't stand there, they just dance around and laugh at you. That's probably even more aggravating.
Yes, that was an example of it then. Len Hogg leaving the 10-pin. Oh, he's turned.
There's one that's danced around and laughed back.
Yes, it certainly has. That pin must have hurt us, and it's the 5-pin. It only just picked it up too. It moved it probably a couple of inches off its normal spot and turned the logo around twice. Well, that was extremely unfortunate, but Len's made a good adjustment there, and he's come back with a spare. He missed that one in the first frame. Wheel, of course, opening 2 frames.